Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us this Tuesday. I'm Jeanelle Slade. The U.S. House today failed to override President Trump's veto over the national emergency border wall. Despite both the House and Senate recently voting to overturn the president's national emergency declaration, today House Democrats could not garner enough Republican support to reach a two-thirds majority. Now, today's vote, the latest in a series of votes aimed at the president's efforts to build a wall. Montana Senior Senator Jon Tester was touring the border this past weekend, and Q2's Russ Riesinger traveled with the senator to see his reaction to the scene and check out the situation firsthand.
What to do about securing the U.S.-Mexico border and also about those who cross it illegally has become a divisive political issue. I had a chance to see the situation firsthand going out with Border Patrol agents.
We are just outside of McAllen, Texas, where if you look across the Rio Grande, you can see Mexico. I'm with Border Patrol agent Carlos Ruiz.
Here in the Rio Grande Valley, we have two demographics of aliens that we apprehend. We apprehend family units and unaccompanied children that actually actively seek Border Patrol to be apprehended in order to claim asylum or hope for a better life and permanent stay in the United States. Then we have what we call the impactables. These are people who are actively trying to avoid apprehension. They don't want to get caught from us.
And that goes on day and night, according to Border Patrol agents here. We would encounter both of these groups, those who want to get away and those who don't.
They just walked up from the river and turned themselves into us. So now they're just preparing them for transport so that they can take it to the processing center and process it.
Ruiz says they're averaging about 1,000 a day right now. Not long afterwards, another group is apprehended. They've just come across the river. You can still see the smuggler on the other side.
Got something that you guys just got something a lot of people, reporters don't get, and that's a wrap.
Yeah, that is a wrap. That's how they came over. They are from Honduras, El Salvador, and Guatemala.
How long was the trip here?
¿Cuánto tardaron en llegar aquí desde sus países originales?
Un mes.
It took her 1 month.
1 mes.
1 month.
3 semanas.
3 weeks. ¿Cuánto te tardaste? 3 weeks.
Why did you want to come here?
¿Para qué querían venir acá?
Para buscar un futuro mejor. Necesito que me den permiso de estar porque necesito trabajo. Tengo mis hijos, tengo 5 hijos. Y soy madre soltera.
They're looking for a better life, and she's a single mother, and she's looking to look for work so she could put her child, so that their child can grow up here and have a better life.
What will you do now? You asked them, what will they do now?
¿Y qué van a hacer ahora? They don't know.
We just don't have the infrastructure yet, and so we've got to make sure that when we're doing our budgeting and the appropriations subcommittee of Homeland Security, that we allocate the funds in the right spots. If we allocate them in the wrong spots, we're not going to solve this problem, and it will continue to get worse unless we get it solved.
Would you describe this as a crisis from what you've seen?
I would describe it as a problem that could reach crisis proportion if we don't act in a way that makes sense. But I will also tell you that I think we can't do everything at once. We need to stage the things, and I think the most important thing we can do right now is make sure that these folks have the manpower and technology, and we deal with the issues from the originating countries.
Whether you call it a crisis or not, one thing is very clear. There's a problem here with no easy solutions. On the southern border in McAllen, Texas, I'm Russ Riesinger reporting for MTN News.
Thanks, Russ. And Russ, we'll have more from the border later this week. Well, tonight in Billings, former South Carolina Republican Representative Trey Gowdy avoided politics and focused on education. Gowdy was here to speak at the Billings Christian School Education Foundation fundraiser. Q2's Mitch Laggy is standing by with more on tonight's talk. Mitch.
Jeanelle, tonight Gowdy reflected on his time in the U.S. House and spoke on the relationship between truth and freedom. One of the main takeaways from tonight, that an average person can do extraordinary things when their fellow citizens lift them up. Gowdy would know. He said that he wasn't all that great of a student himself, but still wound up in the U.S. House. He also credited military, police, and everyday American heroes that don't get recognized like the big names in Washington. He challenged listeners to choose what they stand for and run with it.
And if you believe in Christian education, then you have already married two of the most powerful virtues you can marry, which is a belief that education is the closest thing to magic that we have in this culture. It is the single best way to transform not just a single life, but generations of lives to come. It just takes one person in a family to reset the standard.
Gowdy also reflected on his time in Washington, D.C., saying that it's a misconception that there are no good people there. He added that leaving Washington was very liberating for his immediate family. Jeanelle?
All right, thanks so much, Mitch. A bill to continue Montana's multi-million-dollar Medicaid expansion program cleared its first legislative hurdle tonight, but not before it saw some extensive changes, a lot of pointed discussion, and some cliff-hanging votes. MTN's Mike Dennison was there and tells us how it all happened.
After more than an hour of debate and multiple votes, the House Human Services Committee voted 11-8 to approve House Bill 658, which continues the program that currently provides health coverage to 96,000 low-income adults in Montana. The big change in the bill, sponsored by Republican Representative Ed Buttry of Great Falls, is a form of work requirements to be eligible for the benefit. Buttry told MTN News after the vote that he believes the requirement won't cause thousands of people to be removed from the program.
We're pretty famous for our Montana-made solutions, especially in healthcare. And I think we're going to do it in a way that is going to make sure that we know a large percentage of these folks are working and likely meet the community engagement requirements already.
But the panel took a circuitous route to approve the bill and send it to the House floor. Republicans, who hold a majority on the panel, first amended work requirements into Democrat Mary Cafero's Medicaid bill.
We're talking about the 34-year-old who is sitting on the couch playing video games, okay, is now depressed because not getting enough sleep, because they play too long, not eating correctly, and not exercising, not socializing, but yet can draw Medicaid.
Yet Democrats on the panel then moved to kill Cafero's bill, saying they couldn't support the work requirements, and Republicans agreed. That left the committee with only Buttry's bill, which Democrats then revealed they would support after some of its requirements were softened.
I think we recognize that the political context changed, and there's 96,000 people who are anxious watching what we're going to do in this building and wondering whether they're going to have health insurance in July.
Conservative Republicans on the panel, however, said the bill had been changed too much, although they knew it had the votes to pass.
I can count to 10. I've been sitting here just like all of you, and I can see where this is going to go. But this bill, the way it is now, not knowing everything that's in it and how it's going to impact everyone, I just cannot support this bill.
Buttry said the policy in the bill is much like its original form. 3 Republicans, including Buttry, joined all 8 Democrats on the committee to advance the bill, which still must go through the House floor, another committee, the Senate, and the governor's pen to become law. As Buttry said afterwards, it's a long road to get it done. Reporting from Helena, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
Thanks, Mike. Now, Medicaid expansion is set to expire in Montana this June unless lawmakers vote to extend it. A western Montana man accused of leaving his infant nephew buried in the woods will spend at least 20 years in prison. 33-year-old Francis Crowley was high on meth and bath salts when he abandoned the 5-month-old in February 2018. Crowley was sentenced to 10 years on each of 2 counts of criminal endangerment. The baby was found by authorities after a massive search and survived. Widespread flooding now declared a state of emergency across Park County. High water through Paradise Valley all the way north to Wilsall has breached homes and submerged roadways. 5 roads, in fact, are closed. More than a dozen are damaged, and crews are carefully monitoring to make sure no residents are stranded. The sheriff's office encourages residents to be wary of driving through water-covered roadways because what's underneath could be dangerous. Free sandbags are available at the fairgrounds in Livingston. And onto the weather scene. Bob, we are just entering spring, and yet we do live in Montana, so that means winter weather warnings.
You should see, take a look at the threat board here, Jeanelle. We've got a lot of stuff going on. In the green, that's basically the flooding. That's what we've been talking about. Places that are not in green, well, that's what we're going to talk about next. That is where we have winter weather. Take a look at this. We have a winter storm watch for basically from Harleton all the way down to Bridger into Wyoming, and that starts tomorrow evening at about 6 o'clock and then goes until Friday morning. We're looking for 5 to 10 inches inches of snow there in the blue. In the pink, that's a winter storm warning for the Crazies in the Beartooth Mountains, looking for maybe 12 to 24 inches of snow. That starts at the noon on Wednesday, goes to 6 p.m. Friday. And then farther out in the west, that's a winter weather advisory from Great Falls all the way down towards Dillon and West Yellowstone, looking for that to be about 5,000 foot. Snow level going to be maybe 2 to 4 inches of snow there at 5,000 feet. Above that, look for 4 to 14 inches of snow in that area. And guess what? All that stuff is going to melt sometime and add to our flooding woes in the weeks to come. We'll have more in your forecast in a few more minutes.
All right, thanks so much, Bob. Well, the Moss Mansion in downtown Billings also impacted by this spring thaw. Ice jams in the upper gutters of the historic House Museum are seeping water inside the home. The room most affected is the guest apartment on the second floor. On the outside, you can't really tell, but most of the mansion's roof is actually flat. If water can't drain through the gutter, it pools on the roof, then seeps between the exterior sandstone wall and the interior plaster. Staff tell us there is a way to fix the ice damming in the gutters, but it's going to cost a pretty penny. A bill currently working its way through the Montana legislature would build a Montana Heritage Center in Helena and would create museum grants to assist historic landmarks across Montana, like the Moss Mansion. Coming up on tonight's 10 o'clock news, MSUB is buzzing with some new ideas for its campus and students. We will take a closer look. Plus, she's a household name and a face of healing. Q2 was there for the last day at Hertha's First Pharmacy. And in sports, Carroll's basketball men playing tonight in Kansas City for the national championship. Scott shows us if they win.
You're watching MTN News with Jeanelle Slade and Russ Riesinger. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Breen. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.